Okay, so I had a bunch of random things on my mind today, and one of the biggest things was something that spurred from me watching the show Theranos. I think it's on Hulu. So for those of you that don't know, Theranos is basically a company that Elizabeth Holmes founded, and she had the intention of creating this company that would help millions of people because currently the process to collect blood and then sample it and test it for certain diseases is really inefficient. So she vouched that people could do it with like one drop of blood, just like a finger prick of blood. And that kind of revolutionized the medical industry. What ended up happening though is she fabricated a lot of the test results and used like Siemens machines basically to get those actual results, and essentially told the population that it was her product that she was using when she wasn't. So she basically like was a fraud. But the whole point of that is it got me thinking. At least in the show, they portrayed her as someone who really wanted to change the world. She really wanted to do something that was good for the people. She was serving the people. And it got me thinking in terms of like creating big corporations or just creating these startup companies. Do most people have good intentions going into it? Like the purpose is to help people or to create a product that would make people's lives easier. But as you get caught up in the world of creating this company, right, there's a lot more that goes into it than just the idea itself. Oh my God, it's getting really bright. I'm gonna sit back a little bit. There's a lot more to it than just creating the company, right? There's finances, there's the finance aspect. There's also the aspect of hiring employees, making sure they're getting paid, making sure that your patents are actually passing. It's really difficult to sustain funding for your company if you're not showing immediate results. And sometimes showing immediate results means cutting corners, which in her case, she did as well. The problem arises when you cut a few corners and maybe mislead people a few times, and it just ends up snowballing, which is kind of, again, what they showed with her as well, where you make one bad decision, but then it allows you almost to like psychologically open your mind to making another bad decision and another until you're just completely set off the wrong path and you're doing it completely for profit and fame at that point. So I wonder, even with celebrities, for example, like we see like this whole Botox culture, and it is becoming more mainstream as well, but in the beginning, people didn't really understand why celebrities would do that. But if you're surrounded by those sorts of people every day and you see that every day, that becomes your life and that becomes your new culture. So especially with people, like I'm even speaking for myself, like starting a YouTube channel or like having a property management investment company. In the beginning, with property management, it's a little bit different, right? So you're not necessarily, it's not a product that you're creating for like the good of humanity. You're literally just purchasing property and then letting people stay there so they could pay off your mortgage. It is a very transactional sort of thing. But with this YouTube channel, I initially started it with the intention of helping people. And sometimes when you see a little bit of success, you want to chase that success. So for example, two of my videos ended up doing really well. And after that success, I wanted to chase those numbers and chase that virality again. And I'm starting to realize, maybe because my other videos haven't gone viral, but I am starting to realize that that isn't the long-term gain. The long-term game is going back to the reason as to like why I started this YouTube channel in the first place. Not this one, I have a second YouTube channel. It's in the description. So the reason that I started it was for tech advice and to help students that felt like they were struggling or they had imposter syndrome just like I had when I was younger. And so for me, that was the intention. And I started out really trying to hone in on that and making videos that would help people. But as soon as I started to see a little bit of success, I started to try to hop onto trends. Maybe trends isn't the right word, but like trying to make videos that I knew would potentially go viral, even if they weren't videos that I wanted to make or videos that I thought would like benefit the population that was my audience at the time. So I'm trying to transition back to videos that A, I feel really proud of, and B, not necessarily going for the virality, but going for like how much value can I add to my audience. And it's hard, right? Like you have to constantly battle the growth phase, because if you just make videos that you like, you'll never grow. You do have to cater to the general population, not just your audience sometimes when you're a smaller YouTuber. And I'm sure the same thing applies in business with products as well, right? You want to generalize it. You always want to start out with a niche, but you always want to generalize it to the point where it can add growth, right? But otherwise you cap yourself at a certain amount of growth if it's like too niche. So yeah, there's a lot of those aspects. And sometimes that means doing things or marketing things that you don't necessarily completely believe in. So there is a challenge of sticking to your values and what you believe in, and also growing so that the general population is receptive to either the advice, product, you know, whether you're a content creator, whether you're like someone who's created a product, whether you're someone who's created a service. There is that battle and that balance that you have to keep. So anyways, that show, that's a long-winded way of just getting to the point of that show. And there are many other shows like that, right? Like if you've seen The Social Network or any of the Steve Jobs movies, right? It shows the progression from these brilliant people who start out wanting to change the world, and they do end up changing the world, but it's a lot more complicated than just changing it in a net positive way. You know, they take a couple steps backwards sometimes, then they take a couple steps forward. It's always this battle of self and capitalism and honing into what your audience wants or what the general population wants. So anyways, there's not really a conclusion to this video, but I just figured that I would put my thoughts out there on that. It's been a while since I've actually posted a video, so thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later. See ya.